Good morning or afternoon, as the case may be. We've already finished the spear, and I want y'all to keep that off to the side. We're going to focus on the cylinder now. Now, this is going to be a little bit more complex than the sphere. The sphere was easy, right? We just balled everything, cut it in half, hollowed it out, and then wait for it to stiffen up, and then you score to slip the parts together. That's pretty obvious there. The cylinder has more parts. I want you to get a clay about twice the size of what you did last time, like I'd say like two golf balls worth of clay. That should be fine. Let's go ahead and see what tools we're going to need. You're certainly going to need your dowel. You're certainly going to need a little bit of water off to the side, so when you score and slip, you have access to water, and the ever-present ribbon tool, and also the rib too. Keep the sponge handy for smoothing out, and if you need the modeling tool to smooth out too, you can do that as well. I'm spreading out this plastic bag to make sure that I keep the clay dust off my workspace. I hope you do the same. But here's the deal. We need two lids for the cylinder, which are the circular parts, and we also need a rectangle. And so we're going to have to kind of portion this out. Now, the lids, I want to say, are going to be probably about this much clay right there. So maybe just like a golf ball size, but the cylinder, the rectangle is going to be a little bit more. And I want to start with that because we're going to have to start letting that kind of stiffen up and dry first. So first things first, we're going to try to smooth this out. There's two more materials that I want you to use, and you're going to have to clean these things off when you're done with them. Get two matte pencils or color pencils, right? We're going to use these as guides. Typically, we would have like a rolling pin, and we would have like guides to kind of get everything in line and to kind of keep it flat. But we don't have that, so we're going to kind of make do. I'm going to press this into a slab. Remember, a slab is an evenly thick piece of clay. Normally, we use a slab roller to make sure everything is evenly thick. But we don't have access to that either, so this is what we're going to do. I'm going to try to put these guides right here, right up next to it. And then we're going to press this stuff out using another cylinder. You could use this right here. It may not be wide enough, so I'm going to use this. And what you're going to do, kind of start in the middle right here, and then just try to roll it back as best you can. I think this technique works pretty well. Might need to flatten this a little further. It's not really working as well as I want it to work. Just make adjustments as we go. I'll try to figure this out. Okay, try this again. So I'm going to press this down over the top of the pencils, or guides, and I can kind of work this cylinder over to kind of roll a slab. And it's going to be evenly thick in most places because I'm using the guides. The guides are evenly thick. They're the same size on both sides, so as you put even pressure down, this is kind of how it works. All right, I'm going to speed this part up. Okay, try that again. I'm going to take my guides off, clean the clay off my guides, set that aside. and make sure that I keep small pieces wrapped in plastic. And then I'm going to draw out a rectangle. Now, you need something to measure with roughly, because this is going to be a little bit of math. And I'm going to go ahead and cut a straight line, trim off the edges, and get some extra clay out of the way. Like that. And make a little mark right there. And like that. Clean off the tool. Do the same thing here. Square off the edges. We're making a rectangle. Ball that up. Set that aside, cover it in plastic. I'll do the same thing with that piece too, because now we have a rectangle. Careful not to mess it up too much. I'm going to flex this rectangle around, try to figure out how I'm going to make this cylinder, because it has to be round. Now, of course, you can vary the size of your cylinder too, but first and foremost, we need to measure something on the cylinder. Notice I haven't scored and slipped yet. I'm just preparing it because I need to cut the tops and the bottoms, and I need to let this kind of stiffen and dry up before I can even assemble it. Let me get a ruler really quickly. Okay, let's figure out our diameter, roughly. It looks as if our diameter is about 4 centimeters. That's not bad. So that means I need discs that are going to go on top that are also 4 centimeters in diameter. So I'm going to set this over here, and I need to make discs that are about 4 centimeters. That looks about 4 centimeters, to be honest. Pretty close. Let's keep everything evenly thick. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a piece here. And I'm going to cut another piece here. As it turns out, I didn't use all of my clay. That's good. I'll have more for later. Clean this off before it dries. And stick it on the pile over here. Wrap that up in plastic. Move this over, cover that with plastic as well. Now, I have 2 roughly equal pieces of clay. I'm kind of flatten those things with my fingers. You can also use the guide method again, like this. If you want to get things evenly thick all the way through. I'm going to speed this part up. Okay, now I need this to be a circle. So I can try to find a template. I can go out and I can look around if there's anything that's circular and roughly 4 centimeters in diameter. I would use that. So go try to find anything that's about that large And of course, your diameter might be a little different when you make yours. It might be more narrow or it might be more broad. But mine is a little bit more narrow. I need to find a circle or some kind of template that I can apply to this and cut around it, because I don't trust myself to get a perfect circle as I cut it out. I happen to have this paint container, and that looks about 4 centimeters across. Let's see. It is. It's pretty close. Close enough for our purposes. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn this thing upside down. I'm going to set it on here like this. I'm going to try to shape my clay around it. And I can use a tool to cut the rest if I need to. I'm going to speed this process up. And there's number 2. Okay, so now we have 2 rough shapes, kind of circular. Now, of course, we need to let these things stiffen. So I'm going to set them out in a sunbeam for like 5 or 10 minutes. I would set it out for like 5 minutes and then go check it. So that's what we're going to do. All right, I just pulled these things out of the sun, and they are leather hard. They are carvable. It's not very flexible. If I flex this, it'll probably snap in half, so try not to do that. Just going to kind of manipulate these things to the point that we get a pretty good cylinder. Now, I still need to score and slip this connection. It feels solid right now, but remember, you must score and slip all connections. So I'm going to pull my water off to the side, get my scoring tool ready to go, and then I'm going to score and slip this together. The cylinder first. So water in here. Go ahead, speed this up. It looks pretty good. Next step is going to be to put these things on top. As you can imagine, you got to score and slip. So let's go ahead and get started. I have to score all the way around here and all the way around there. Okay, that's fairly well connected, I think. Now for the second one. Go ahead and do this. Same thing, same process. Okay, those are assembled. They're on. Next part is I got some bumps to deal with. That's kind of wonky looking, so I need to kind of shave some of that off. You have a variety of tools at your disposal. Flat edges are good. And be sure that you clean off the tool every now and again so you don't leave stray marks that are unintentional. So I'm going to push that clay off, put it back with the other bits of clay I don't want to dry out, and keep on carving. I'm going to speed this up as well because this is going to take a bit. Okay, that's not a bad cylinder. Obviously, it could use a little bit more smoothing. That's where your sponge comes into play. Squeeze a little bit of water into the sponge, not too much, and then you can kind of use the sponge to remove some of those striations and fingerprints that you made in the process. That's not bad. And now we have a fairly successful cylinder all the way around. Use what you got. If you need a flat place, use the table or the surface to flatten things out. And try to make it as round as you can. Now, not a bad cylinder, right? Okay, so final step, you got to vent the form. So I'm going to place a hole right in the bottom, like so. And now you have a cylinder. Good job.